Hello everybody, this is George Ponder for WPCentral.com. Got an overview for you today on the Sprint HTC 8XT Windows Phone. It's Sprint's first Windows Phone 8 device and hopefully not the last. Hopefully we'll see more of a presence from Sprint in the Windows Phone market. But the 8XT, it's a nice device. Very appealing. Sprint users will be happy, will be very pleased with what they see in the 8XT. It's very familiar. It's almost cut of the same cloth of the AT&T 8X. About the same height, same width, same thickness. The blue's a little darker on the 8XT, and then you've got your metal camera housing here. And then down below you got a little splash of color on the buttons down below. Fit and feel, very similar. So if you're familiar with the 8X, you're going to be very familiar with the 8XT. 4.3-inch WVGA screen, nice, bright. Has a little pop to it, a little contrast in the colors. The only issue I've seen with the screen is at times that ambient sensor when you go indoors, it'll dim the screen a little bit too much, just maybe one notch too much. Not a deal breaker, but something that you'll notice, and then at some point it corrects itself. So it's more of a quirk than a flaw. As far as software goes, you've got the preloaded stuff from HTC, Burst, the HTC app. You've got Sprint Music, Sprint TV, you've got Scout. You do have DataSense, and DataSense should be on all Windows phones. Actually, all smartphones. DataSense allows you to monitor your data usage, set limits. So if you've got kids with a Windows phone, you can say they got a 2 GB limit per month, you can set that limit through this app. Real quick look at settings. It's basically your typical Windows Phone settings and HTC Windows Phone settings. You do have the Beats Audio, which gives a little bit of a boost to your audio quality, as well as the dual front speakers. You've got HTC Fetch that we really aren't sure what it is. It sounds like a Bluetooth location service. Attentive phone, where how you adjust your speakers, how they work. But fairly typical settings for a Windows Phone. You do have an 8-megapixel rear shooter with a BSI sensor. It's that backside illuminated sensor. It's more sensitive to light. Is an f2.0 lens, so it combined with the sensor, it's going to pull in a little bit more light, so it'll have better low light performance. Up front, you've got a 1.6 megapixel camera. In addition to the BSI sensor, HTC put the HTC camera app on it. And in a nutshell, let's zoom in just a little. In a nutshell, it's basically the Windows Phone app, the native app, presented in a slightly different way. It does have a few more bells and whistles, but I mean, you still have to go into the 3-dot menu to go into the settings. You don't have any on-screen settings that makes things a little easier. Photo settings, you've got your scene modes. This is where they put the HDR filter, the panorama app. You've got anti-shake, and that basically boosts the ISO so you can use a faster shutter speed to reduce the camera motion or camera blur. Continuous shooting, it's limited to 20 or 60 frames. You've got a self-timer feature. Your crop is basically your resolution now. Why HTC went away with the traditional resolution terms, I don't know, but now it's wide, regular, and square. You've got a grid, your rule of third grid that you can put. You've got face detection, tap to capture on and off, as well as your exposure settings. Your flash is controlled by the little icon up here. You can toggle between your video and still images with these. You've got a filter button down here that you can pull up one of the 4 filters. You've got negative, sepia, solarize, and grayscale. And it's all previewable, so if you tap the filter, what your picture is going to look like will show up on the screen. And then here's a little preview pane from the last picture you took. Video settings, again, simpler terms, Full HD, HD VGA, QVGA. You do have the lock, focus, and video, as well as your exposure settings. If you want to switch between the main camera and the front facing, you just tap that switch. So again, really not much different as far as settings go, but the HTC camera app does present things a little bit different. I do wish they had more on-screen controls to make it a little bit more user-friendly. One other note on the camera, I'm finding this front lens element, this front little piece of glass, it is highly susceptible to smudges. And if you have a little grease smudge or fingerprint on it, it's going to mess up your image quality. It's going to create a lot of glare and a lot of haze on your images. So make sure you get in there with either a tissue or a handkerchief or your shirt to clean this lens off before you take pictures. Or if you see a haze on your pictures, that might be the reason why. All in all, the HTC 8XT, it's a nice Windows phone. I can see it being very appealing to Sprint customers. It's a nice introduction to Windows Phone 8 for Sprint. It's currently running $99 on contract. You can find better deals like through Amazon.com. They've got a penny sale for new contracts, $80 for upgrades. So if you shop around, you can probably find a better deal on it. It's the HTC 8XT from Sprint. Very appealing Windows phone. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one.